Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis and Eric Olson.
And welcome to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me, as always,
Eric Olson.
Eric, we are now going to be adding Mr. Cocky Two-Tone into the mix here. So I will feverishly be working here, but right now with us is we have the one and the only King Leonidas, world's heavyweight champion for WGW. How you doing, King?
Greetings, subjects. Your king has arrived.
Well,
sounded like the voice of God.
It really did. I mean, you know, I'm just honored to have you on, King.
The king is loyal to his subjects, and his subjects are loyal to his kingship. I'm here to spread the word of great battles commencing on February 2nd.
Hi, you reached Tom. Leave your name and number, and I'll get back to you. Have a nice day.
Sorry, King, I did not mean to interrupt you with Tommy Two-Tones.
Please record your message. When you've finished recording, you may hang up.
Treachery.
Yeah, exactly, right? Right? You know what? This guy...
my Lord. Is beyond you.
The effrontery of interrupting the king.
Exactly. You know, leave it to Cocky Tommy, though. I mean,
hi, you reached Tom. Leave your name and number, and I'll get back to you. Have a nice day.
Well, we are going to go ahead and get him into the show, but in the meantime, King, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going to be happening February 2nd? I mean, you know, you're defending the title, right?
Well, the king shall always defend his gold in front of everybody he shall attend. And I believe you two will be in attendance as well, too, to see the bloodshed and carnage from your king himself.
I will be there. I will absolutely be there. In fact, I am going to be special guest ring announcer.
Sir.
Hi, hey, is this Cocky Tommy
sir.
Two-Tone?
Oh,
yes.
infidel.
I know, King,
Hello.
right? Hi, Tom. Cocky Tommy Two-Tone, everybody. We finally got everyone hooked up. And we're talking with, well, the guy that's way better than you are, Tom. Let's just be honest. That's King Leonidas. I mean, really, I don't even know why you're here, but King's here. I'm joking with you, Tom.
He holds the WGW gold proud, but he's got a little surprise for him when it comes Saturday, February 2nd.
Well, what's the surprise?
I got a guy from Brazil.
Oh.
Chief Bosnia.
Oh. I don't know. I saw the King last event, and I don't think he really has anything to worry about, personally. King Leonidas is, you know, the real deal. He's a fighting champion. I am a loyal subject to the King.
Indeed you are. A legionnaire, as it's called. A Leonidas legionnaire. I've returned from battles from the east, where I've been thrashing the Thracians themselves, and you bring me a Brazilian. Cocky Tommy Two-Tone. You have no understanding of the wrath of your king and your champion, for I shall deal with him swiftly and quickly, and leave his head rolling there for you to pick up later on and dispose at your will. For you are naught but a peon, Cocky Two-Tone, and a Brazilian. Are you bringing me a monkey? Are you bringing me a zebra? What are you bringing me? For my royal zoo?
Someone who shaves in the bikini area. That's a Brazilian.
Is he a man without hair?
It's a Brazilian. You said it. They shave in the bikini area.
He's gonna. This opponent
of mine will be smooth.
Yes, exactly.
Smooth and silky, Cocky Two-Tone. Yes, I've dealt with many opponents that have been smooth and silky before. That enables my blade to shave even closer as I bring my axe to the ring and deal with him and shave him my own way. Yes, the king does it the kingly way, as only Leonidas shall do.
Henceforth and forthwith.
Indeed,
wait a
my
minute.
loyal subject.
Wait a minute there, Mr. Leonidas.
Well, that is king to you.
There's going to be a stipulation. I'm going to be out there with Chief Bosnia.
Whoa. You're going to be out there, Chief Bosnia? Wow, King, do you need some backup? Yours truly would be happy to do that for you.
My loyal subjects and my Leonidas Legionnaires will always be at my side, and I have much gratitude for you to join me as my left-hand man there, my champion, as we do battle with these peons.
I'll be there. I'll be there, man. You need me? I'll be there, King.
The king shall summon you. Indeed, we shall stand head high, swords high, and do battle with this Brazilian shaved people and a cocky Tommy Two-Tone, or whatever that is itself as well.
He's gonna.
My question to pose, of course, as a king shall do, as it is my realm, is: are you too shaved, Cocky Two-Tone? And if not, I will shave you at the end of the match as well.
In the Brazilian manner.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And
well, we'll
shave you in the Greek way because you are a Greek man.
Good point,
Mr. Leonidas. You have to forget. You may hold the WGW title now, but come Saturday, February 2nd in Hibbing, just think.
Come what you idle threats again, Tommy Two-Tone. We have faced off many a time before. And again, I shall hold the title high as I've done every match, every battle, and every arena across the nation. And you prefer to bring me a shaved Brazilian monkey and pose a threat to me by standing ringside yourself. Indeed, my Legionnaires and I will have a night off with some several ales and enjoy some festivities afterwards with the bar wenches and decide what we're going to do with you later on, child. We will speak to you later on when you are freshly shaven. Are we done, Cocky Two-Tone?
Yeah, we're going to talk about the event, and we'll deal with you on Saturday, February 2nd.
Well, let's talk about the event a little bit. I mean, it's huge. It's going down in Hibbing. I mean, this is truly a marvel of modern day sports. It really is, and that is, of course, on the 2nd of February. Tell us a little bit about that, Cocky Tommy Two-Tone.
Well, we're going to have 7 great matches, and bell time's going to be at 6:30 with doors opening at 5:30. There's going to be raffles, prizes for the kids, food, and we're going to have 3 title bouts, best of the Midwest talent around, and we're going to have anti-bullying table for the kids. Plus, we're going to have star from Travel Channel and the Animal Planet, Abe Del Rio from Finding Bigfoot. We're having Mr. Incredible for the kids, signing autographs.
Very cool.
The matches are...
Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off, sir, but we're also having Mike Hexum.
Yeah.
I know. Let me take control of my own show. No, I'm kidding, of course. No, but in all seriousness, we're also having Mike Hexum. That's part of the Finding Bigfoot crew. And so he was just added just a little bit ago. So you got Abe Del Rio.
Yes,
you got Mike Hexum. Yep.
He got in contact with me. He did get in contact with me. But then we're going to have, they're going to see, let me tell you about the talent. We got a 7-foot-high giant gravedigger. What's coming?
Wow, man. That guy's huge. I don't know, 7 feet. Can you imagine that, Eric? 7 feet tall?
7 feet is very, very tall. I once met Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in person. I believe he is 7'3" or thereabouts. And it was as if his head were in the clouds. It was so far up. So 7 feet is very, very tall and intimidating.
Yes, is Mr. Leonidas still with us?
Yes, he is. He is going to be with us the
King
whole
is sitting
hour.
here lavishly. Incredibly so. As I sit here, and I have a question to pose. Your Majesty requires an answer for the reasoning behind we have a Bigfoot and a Shea Brazilian. Are they coming as a pair?
Yeah.
Maybe one leg each.
Oh,
It's a
God.
query I must pose to my minions, indeed. I am betrayed by what sort of that animal that may be, or a human, or what you shall bring to this show. I'm very enthralled, cocky Tommy Two-Tone, indeed.
Oh, Mr. Leonidas, you never seem to surprise me.
If there indeed is a Bigfoot king, we're going to shear him and make you a cape.
Indeed, the king would love a Bigfoot cloak. Yes, with a nice scalp of Tommy Two-Tones to finish it off as well there, like a little feather boa. Indeed.
Now, are you the same
cocky
king
Two-Tone.
who was in 300? Is that you? You're that same guy?
No, he's the real king.
I meant, who was represented in that film, not obviously the real thing.
Indeed, child, indeed. It was simply a replica of myself, and of course a smaller version and less handsome.
Needless to say.
So he thinks.
Without query, of course, yes. Well, explain the show there, cocky Two-Tone, as they're baited.
Okay. Then we're going to get by with some of the talent. We got a guy from Mother Russia coming in, the Mad Russian. He's going to be wrestling Big Ox.
That'd be a hell of a match. A real good match.
Yes.
So we have a Russian and an ox. Is that correct, cocky Tommy Two-Tone?
And a mad Russian,
though. Is there such thing as an insane Russian? No? One might seek some medical help from one of my clerics for that. And you have a little ox? Is that what you're saying as well, too? A little ox?
Yeah, this guy down the road you might run into, Mr. Leonidas.
The king has no fear of any ox or slightly insane Russians. But bring it on. What else do you have?
Oh, we got coming in Pretty Boy Hertz. He's going to be going for the WGW Intercontinental title.
Man, that's another great match. Who is he going up against for that match?
He will be going against the 7-foot giant.
There we go. There we go. That's going to be a wild affair indeed, that match. All of them, in fact. You can't go wrong with coming to Hibbing, February 2nd. It's going to be one of the best shows you've ever seen. It's quite the spectacle of both athleticism, and it's also family friendly. Going all for a good cause, of course, anti-bullying, and also helping out the range mental health services with stuff going on so you cannot go wrong. There's going to be lots of food, lots of fun, lots of giveaways, raffles, toys. Kids of all ages are welcome aboard, and come and make sure you get those tickets early at Mike's Sheet Metal. That's the best way to get your tickets, but they also are available at the door if you can't get there.
Yes. And if I could say that, you can get them at Mike's Heating and Sheet Metal in Hibbing at 2318 First Avenue in Hibbing. In advanced adults are $10, 12 at the door. Advanced kids 6 to 12 are $6, 8 at the door. Ringside 15 in advance, 20 at the door. And we got a special going on. This for advance tickets, a family 4-pack includes 2 adults, 2 kids, $30.
Very, very cool. I gotta ask you, Cocky Two-Tone, why don't you like the king? He's royalty, man.
I've been everywhere, and he's, I give him a chance to hold the gold. He's for good, of good of all people.
What do you think, King? What do you think about Cocky Tommy?
Well, quite, my dear sovereign royal subject. The king can only say one word for that man himself, and we refer to him as a serf. Yes, and no, Cocky Two-Tone has got nothing to do with oceans. Google that one. And the king is also is quite impressed with what he's done here, and for this great performance show at this arena here at Hibbing. A small town to the north here. I've done battle many a time, and this again would bring many people. There is a lot for all ages, and Tommy Two-Tone, being a crafty character as he is, however, has done a great deed in promoting a great show and bringing a lot of entertainment available for many ages. And of course, your main headliner, the king here, of course, will make his presence felt there for everyone, and will bring a much applauded the battle skills that you'll see there in the ring here in the main event against a shaved Brazilian Bigfoot. And and Cocky Two-Tone, of course, if you step in the ring and make the mistake as the Bigfoot shaved as he is, well then have be no force to do the exact same to you too as we've done last time there. And of course, you know what happened then, don't you, Cocky Tommy Two-Tone?
You know, King, as what you just said, I respect you for what you said a little. But, and you are the champion. But this thing, it's 8 days away. That's Saturday, February 2nd. Range Mental Health, Governor Rudy Perpage Building. Doors open at 5:30, bell time 6:30. That you might as well just polish that belt up wherever you're at now. Polish it up, get it ready to give to Chief Bosnia.
Idle threats there, Cocky Tommy Two-Tone. I'm sure my loyal subjects here at the radio station would indeed disagree with what you have to say, and having quite a chuckle on their side about your ineptness, about what you really think is going to happen here. Indeed, the king will walk away superior, victorious, and with the head of your shaved Brazilian there on my shoulder and my gold around my waist, and continuing on my battles to the north and the east and the west. And again, you'll call me later on, Cocky Tommy Two-Tone, and apologize profusely and ask for your king to return again. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's always a question.
Silence.
You know, I don't know, and I'm just gonna say this off the top of my head, King. And Cocky, you may not agree with this at all, and let me know if you don't. But don't you think if you were to defeat the shaved Bigfoot from Brazil, that Cocky Tommy Two-Tone should actually bow to you after the victory?
Indeed.
Never happened.
A legionnaire talking the words of a king of royalty. Thou shalt be knelt, Cocky Tommy Two-Tone. Otherwise I shall behead thee. So you shall kneel and not only kiss thy royal boots, you shall apologize to your king in front of the thousands and thousands of legionnaires that will turn up there to worship the king and watch you be defeated yet again. Do we have a deal, Cocky Tommy Two-Tone? Witness here.
We just turn the other way, and you'll see.
Someone will be the supplicant.
I'm going to be very choice on words. I'm very unspoken right now.
That's exactly right. You know lots of words, don't you? You're very smart with a lot of words. I think I've heard that somewhere before.
I know all the words.
You know all the good words, best words. And if you don't know the words, you'll get somebody who knows the words. Is that correct, Tommy Two-Tone? Yes.
Yes.
Well, why don't you guys go ahead and tell our audience about WGW? You know, because maybe someone's just tuning in and going, well, what's this WGW? Tommy, I mean, it's a wonderful charity you guys do, but why don't we tell people about Wrestling Gone Wild?
Yeah, WGW started in 2008. WGW Wrestling Gone Wild. When I've been into wrestling, way before that, I ran another promotion RPW, Range Pro Wrestling. I got back into it, and we got into the VFW in Hibbing, where they were really good. We ran pretty regular there. And we had the presence of the King and other great Midwest talents. But we do a lot for charities and just the good of the people and the wrestling fans to enjoy good old wrestling, good talent. And like for the lineup,
Tommy Two-Tone, you forgot the major thing that you support here, of course, is anti-bullying, which is the main cause of WTW, and the King's purpose itself, of course, is the anti-bullying cause that we have there. And we're definitely against the anti-bullying, which is exactly what you attempt to do to me, Cocky Tommy Two-Tone. So for all you out there who do turn up at this event here, we'll see what happens to a bully and a shaved Bigfoot as well, too, on the one step. So always remember, anti-bullying is a no-go. Correct, Tommy Two-Tone? Continue.
Yes, that's good. But I'm going to get to the list of who we have. I'm just going to go down the list who we have coming in for February 2nd in Hibbing. We got Gravedigger. We got Pretty Boy Greg Hertz. We got the Mad Russian. We got Big Ox. We got Spicy. We got Dirty Ernie, AWA legend. We got Robert Evans, Zach Neal, Schoolboy, Leonard Literacy, and we got King Leonidas and many more. It's going to be a fun night of raffles, prizes, and it's bell time 6:30 at the Range Mental Health Governor Rudy Perpridge Building in Hibbing, Minnesota, and the address is 3203 3rd Avenue West, Hibbing, Minnesota, and doors open at 5:30. And you can get your tickets at Mike's Heating and Sheet Metal at 2318 1st Avenue. So you can get these ticket specials.
Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Again, February 2nd, Governor Rudy Perpridge Building, Hibbing, Minnesota. It's going to be going down. Get your tickets in advance at Mike's Heating and Sheet Metal. They're in Hibbing, of course. And I'll be there. I'll be a guest ring announcer at times. I'll also be doing some interviewing of the wrestlers. And definitely want to get an interview when the King wins. Definitely got to get a minute with the King.
There's little baffling going on here. Is my phone cutting out or something? Something about the King winning? There's a little baffling. See, I just want to get my point. I know the King's listening, and this ain't all about you, King. It's about the show, too. But now I'm getting cocky. I'm kind of getting talkative. It's in the evening. I'm trying to relax, and I'm gracing you with my presence of being on your radio show.
Oh, yeah, that is true. That is true.
You know what? Hey, I'm cutting you off now. Okay? Now I'm getting kind of cocky now. But you know what? I'm going to be very unique on this show and very quiet. Wait until Saturday, February 2nd, Range Mental Health, Governor Rudy Perpridge Building. Doors open at 5:30, bell time 6:30. Raffles, concessions, prizes for kids, stars, pro wrestling stars, family event. Get your tickets at Mike's Heating and Sheet Metal in Hibbing. But you know what? It's going to come down to that you're going to see history. You're going to see this guy who's up, King Leonidas, bowing down to moi.
No!
Loses that title. After he loses that title, okay?
The Greek will speak French. I have a question. This is Eric. Hi, man. What a pleasure to hear you, and what a great thing that you do. I really love the fact that you.
This is a guy who knows what he's talking about. I like you, sir.
I am perspicacious beyond conception. There is no doubt about it. Explain to the listeners, though, because I'm very, very interested in how do you present the anti-bullying message? What is the actual implementation of that? Because I think it's such a great idea, because in a way it's kind of counterintuitive. Oh, these big guys are out there throwing each other around and wrestling, but all in the cause of anti-bullying. So how does that fit into the overall picture? How do you work that in?
Okay, sir.
Well, the king will step in here and explain this exactly. Cocky Two-Tone, you will take the chair when your king is speaking here, Eric.
Okay.
Loyal subject, I will answer your question here, of course. The implementation of anti-bullying here is placed very simply for all out there that only men and men of our caliber and qualities should be in the ring doing the things that we do. And that's the place where it should be done, and no other place than that itself, loyal subjects. So the king will promote that as such. The anti-bullying message is presented as such as you can come and watch what you think you can do at home here in a professional atmosphere with the greatest on the planet, and yet keep it at home safe and secure, and be kind and friendly to each other as the king will lay his laws down.
Very good.
That's well said.
Makes perfect sense. Love that. I really applaud you guys. I admire it very much, and you're a lot of fun and entertaining. I'm sure it's going to be a great show.
I got a little special gift here. I got the First Lady of WGW, my better half, I should say, what we do with the anti-bullying, how we have contracts and that stuff. She's here now, Mrs. Lynette. Here she is.
Hello.
Hello, Lynette. Welcome to After Hours AM.
Thank you. Actually, this is Nettie, better known as the First Lady, just so you know. But yeah, I would like to talk to you about our anti-bullying campaign.
Sure, please do.
Okay, we want to encourage the kids to come out and take a pledge and stand with everybody, including our wrestlers, that wrestling or that bullying is, just such a problem we have, and we want them to come take a stand about, how to stand up to bullying at your school and in your life. And so they take a pledge, they sign it, and we'll have, somebody read it. Mr. Incredible is going to be there to help us out with that. And they'll be able to say in front of everyone their pledge. And then I also have some information for parents at the table as to how to recognize if your child is being bullied. So, that's my pledge. I wanted to say that. So, thank you.
No, thank you for telling everyone how it works. And we'd also like to get the word out with you. Is bullying's horrible. It's an epidemic in this country. And more we can get the word out and a positive message to not be a bully, the better. And I'm that's another real reason why I got involved with Tommy and everything else, is because giving back is what matters. We have millions of listeners to this show, and if you can get that message out, all the better.
We definitely want to get the word out. We care about our community so much, and we worry about our kids in our community, wondering what kind of resources they have and things that they can actually do that's positive and fun. There sometimes isn't that much for kids to do and entertain themselves, so we want to give them something positive to do.
Yeah, well said. Very well said. Thanks a ton. And Eric and I both echo that same sentiment.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you. We're going to run a break and come back. We're going to talk more with King. We're going to talk with Cocky, and then Abe Del Rio will join us really quickly just to talk about his involvement, and then we're going to kind of maybe shift gears a little bit as well and talk about the business of wrestling. Don't go anywhere. Okay. We'll be right back right after this.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard. Try telling a bear that.
I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey. Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at smokeybear.com. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
I got a rather serious problem over here.
All right, what are we looking at?
Cranky mother-in-law asleep on the couch in the man cave.
Dear God.
It gets worse.
That's impossible.
She's passed out on the remote.
I stand corrected.
What do I do?
Okay, I want you to grab a Torrent Big Red hydraulic bottle jack.
Okay.
Now you wedge that bad boy in under your mother-in-law and crank her up skyward.
It's working. And got the remote.
Great. Now grab that Torrent Big Red 2-ton folding shop crane and put that woman on wheels.
And away we go.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Welcome back to this edition of After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me,
Eric Olson.
And tonight our guests are, of course, King Leonidas himself. And then we also have Cocky Tommy 2-Tone on the horn. And, of course, my good personal friend for years, Mr. Abe Del Rio of the Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team.
Oh, Abe Del Rio. Chasing Bigfoot. Oh.
See,
you're going to see more than that come February 2nd, Tommy. You're going to be all hail Abe Del Rio of the MNBRT. You guys will be bowing to Cocky Tommy 2-Tone. Oh, my gosh. You know what, Tommy? Here's the thing. I've been doing Bigfoot field research and investigations for a long, long time, going on 19 years as an MNBRT, and I've seen guys your size in the woods cry. I'm not scared of you.
Well,
he is protected by the state Brazilian, however.
Well, really?
And you know, the thing is, what we call the Bigfoot in Brazil is the Mapinguari. So bring on the Mapinguari.
I like that. Mapinguari. That's you know.
We'll be mopping them up with the guari on the floor. No.
Do you happen to have another
Do we have another what?
Bigfoot? Brazilian?
Bigfoot coming out?
Mike Hexum will be joining.
So first off, I want to just really want to thank you guys for the opportunity in joining and inviting us up to come up February 2nd with WGW. You know, you guys are doing a great thing. No, thank you. It's a privilege being asked to do so. You know, with anti-bullying going on, it's something that affects a lot of families, and it just draws kids away, and they become introverts instead of extroverts, and stop doing outdoor activities. Instead, they're sitting at home on computers and on their video games, when kids need to be out riding dirt bikes, fishing, enjoying the great outdoors, and looking for Bigfoot. That's how I see it. And if we can get the message across and help you guys get the message across that bullying is not okay. Kids need to be having good, positive role models. Adults, such as you guys, you know, bashing each other's heads in. No, I'm just kidding. That was a pun.
And never become a radio host.
Just that.
Tell the kids, don't become a radio host.
You better look out. February 2nd. Better look out.
You know, and to tell somebody. Don't be afraid. Tell somebody that this is going on. Don't hold it in, because that's when depression comes in. When depression comes in,
a byproduct of depression, I think we all know, we all are aware of it, is suicide. And that's the last thing any family should go through.
Yep.
Is something to that extreme.
Sir.
So definitely, we want to hop on that bandwagon with you guys. Make anti-bullying well aware that it's not okay and it needs to be smudged out and body slammed.
Exactly.
Yes.
I have heard that in northern Minnesota, bullies are fed to Bigfoot.
Some are.
We don't really want to make that too open yet.
Don't tell anyone that.
But that's for the bad kids.
Exactly. Abe, really quickly, you're going to be there in attendance, of course, February 2nd for the WGW, all for the Glory event at the Governor Rudy Perpich building in Hibbing. And you're going to be there. People can meet you. They can get autograph with you. They can take pictures of you. You can talk about Bigfoot with you. And it'll be just a really good time. Mike Hexum will also be with you. He was the other guy on the show Finding Bigfoot with you. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. Both of you guys local celebrities. So thanks a ton for coming in and coming aboard with this.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. Absolutely, Tommy. It's going to be a pleasure meeting you. King, stop on by. I hope we have a shirt big enough to put on you. You can represent Minnesota Bigfoot Research Team. We're going to have a table. We're going to be selling some shirts. Come on by, say hi, talk squash with us. It's going to be for a great cause and a great event. And we hope a lot of people just join and have a great family time.
Exactly. Abe, thanks a ton for coming on. And we will be seeing you and talking with you February 2nd. And let me know in the meantime if you need anything, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you again for letting me come on just real quick. Hi, guys. You have a great night. God bless. Good night. And squash on.
Thank you, sir. All right. Bye now.
Thank you.
So,
I heard we might have another guest coming on with us in a few minutes.
Who's that? Who would be coming on?
Johnny Parks.
Oh, no, Johnny Parks. I remember Johnny Parks. Really? Johnny?
Yes.
Johnny, are you there?
What I got to say,
go ahead.
Johnny was like a mentor to me. Very Midwest, from the Midwest of wrestling, been in the WWE, been all over the world, from Australia, the man from down under. Very, very great honor to meet him and be in matches with him, and he's very good.
Well, there's a couple announcements I have to make really quickly before I talk to Johnny. Number one, King Leonidas has left the building. I was told to say that he has left the building.
Oh,
so
he should.
The King is gone.
The building after.
And he has left the building, and Johnny Parks has come in his stead to talk with us. Johnny.
G'day, hello, Brian here. G'day.
Hey, Johnny. You know, one thing I wanted.
I'm out in the outback right now. Can you hear me, mate?
I can hear you. I can. And watch out for that crocodile. Yeah, there's a crocodile to your left. Be careful of that guy.
I'm in no real danger right now, fellas, but I'm going to watch out for a couple of stingrays. I'm doing a bit of swimming in the pond here.
Well, you be safe while we talk to you, and don't get eaten by a crocodile till after the show. After that, you can get eaten, but until then, we just kind of need to talk to you for a little bit. But seriously,
I didn't think it'd be like that.
Well,
I thought that about you, old Yankees.
Well, it's just one of them deals. Blood sells on radio, so I mean, if you're to get eaten while we're talking to you, I guess that might be a good thing. I don't know. We did talk.
You're gonna get some ratings.
That's exactly it. You know, it's all controversy creates cash. You know what I mean? So there we are. We're all about that.
I learned that from me buddy Steve Owen. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You also learned stingrays like to bite, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, Paul Hogan taught me that too. That's the problem with that. But anyway, we're talking about some great old wrestling here, I hear. So. Thanks for having us on the show here. I think you had a guy I've seen a couple of times around, a big old giant by the name of King Leonidas was on earlier, I heard, eh?
Yes, he was. We had the King on, and he will be defending his title again February 2nd. at the Governor Rudy Purpich building. So you got to come for that one.
WGW gone on.
Yes,
I think I might have
is.
to turn up myself there for that. Look, once I get out here from a couple of kangaroos, I'll hitch a ride here, and I'll jump on my jigger and flee over there and come and see what the hell's going on, eh? So let me tell you something though here. WCW is a great little organisation there. King, of course, being the undefeated champion, I've heard for quite some time. And I tell you what, Cocky Two-Tone, I think you got a little bit of a handful here, and I've heard somewhere down the line here that you've got some sort of a Brazilian wax job to help you in the aid of getting your title back. Is that what the story is, mate? I'm a little confused. Mate.
Yes.
What do you? Can you explain to the people here that are listening, eh? You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well, I got a guy from Brazil brought in, and he's going to take on the king, and he will be defeated. But that'll be that story come February 2nd in Hibbing.
Right on. It's February 2nd.
It's a pleasure hearing from you. So.
Well, I'm much obliged there, Mr. Two-Tony. I'm glad to be back and coming back here to Minnesota. I heard it's pretty cold over there right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a little
cold.
chilly.
Well, I'm sitting back here, and it's like 32 degrees Celsius, so I don't know how to do the math for that for you, mate, but that's probably about 85 degrees, your temperature over there. And the sun here, I'm with a couple of crocs and a few kangas and a wallaby or two in the backyard here, and I got that little guy does the commercials for Gecko running around here too, Geico guy, but he almost went under my boot right there.
Johnny,
but anyway.
It is so cold, you're going to freeze the koalas off, all right? That's how cold it is here.
That's right. The drop bears are going to fall out of the gum trees. That's what's going to happen here.
Keep the dingoes away from the babies.
That's right, because I ate my last one. I'm probably not going to give myself a new one, eh? That's what I mean, mate. But one thing about them dingoes, they like the Asian ones because they're smaller and spicier. But I tell you what, they're coming around here soon. I'll be up there in the Midwest here where it's 100 degrees below here. But tell you what, it's going to be an exciting night, and I'm looking forward to it there. I'm looking forward to the king whooping up on your Brazilian wax job. I'm looking at a couple other matches there to kind of excite me. My buddy here is a fellow Bigfoot hunter here who's come down to the land of Oz here, been looking for the Aussie Yowie, which is just like a Bigfoot in itself too, which apparently had a sighting just last week. And no, it wasn't me running around naked in the bush at all. But what we did discover is it's going to be a great show there with a lot of people. I'm excited to be there. You guys are going to be there. I heard down the line too. They're telling me before I got on the phone here, and this anti-bullying, this whole program of wrestling, I'm very excited. I know you guys are excited. In fact, I might even bring a boomerang. I might even bring a koala with me. But what this is an extension of the great days back in the old days, of course, when I came back here in the early 80s and 90s when I was wrestling with companies like AWA and doing a run with some other big companies you gentlemen may have heard of, the WWF or the WWEPD or whatever it's called now. What is it called? Yep. WWE, that's correct.
Yep.
And of course did a succession of some years with that company there, and another one called WCW at the time there, and TNA was another one. I enjoyed a lot of time up here in the Midwest, and some friendly folk, and love some good wrestling up here. That's what I really like about that. Down in Aussie, of course, we box some kangaroos, and I can come up here and wrestle with some Brazilian wax jobs, and I'm excited. I think that's a great thing for most people.
I agree. I can't wait to watch it happen and go down February 2nd.
That was a mouthful.
That really was. That really was. And that's the thing. We're really looking forward to this event, and Cocky Tommy Two-Tone over there. He is bringing. He is bringing it. I mean, he's a legitimate threat to the king. He's bringing the Brazilian warrior. And it will be something else. You're not going to want to miss that match for sure. You want to sit in, you want to stay, you want to get all the get something to drink, sit back, relax. Lots of prizes, lots of raffling going on, lots of wrestling going on, and a lot of fun. And that's really what it's about.
Midwinter bikini shaving.
Yes.
Don't leave that.
That's right, mate. Yeah. I'm excited just for that. That's my whole main event for me, of course. But you can't go wrong here. I'm going to tell the listeners out there right now, there is something to behold of what's going on in the independent wrestling here in the state of Minnesota. And I'm hearing it all the way over here to in Australia right now. Is there's something very special what's going on. You're going to see a couple of gargantuans on that card. A guy by the name of Ox, 300-plus pounds at 6'3". I mean, this is a monster. There's a 7'2" gravedigger. I don't know if anybody's seen that, but that's for us. That's like me standing on 3 cans of beans down here in Aussie. It's something incredible to see. And of course, the king. Can I say more about the king, gentlemen? Let me tell you about
please
the king.
do so.
270 pounds of rock-solid beef there, coming into the ring with the Brazilian guy who's apparently he's not too short, not too sloppy himself. That's what I've heard down the line, gentlemen. It could be a rumor. I might have got the lie from Tommy Two-Tone, but I'll tell you what, people are going to be excited. There's going to be matches that you won't see the caliber anywhere else in the upper Midwest, especially up in Hibbing there. Wrestling comes through town a couple of times a year, and this is the time to grab on it. I bet you it's going to be cold as a kangaroo's butt out there in the outside there, the minus degrees that you have up there, and I'll be inside in my little Joey pouch trying to keep warm, but it's a great excuse to come inside and come and watch some quality wrestling for your listeners out there. And I tell you what, come around to me and I'll sign a couple of boomerangs for you as well too, and hang out with the Yowie guys, and I'm excited to meet new people and come up and say hello and say g'day, and I'll be there with the bells on with all you gentlemen as well too, and I can't wait to get on that plane and come over there. By the way, of course, it's a 35-hour flight, so I'm going to be a little late. You guys okay with that?
35-hour flight.
Wow.
What, are you going to go the wrong way around the earth?
Well, I should have taken that left at Albuquerque, but you know how it goes down here. We're down under. We do everything back to front. You know about our toilet bowls when we flush them, don't you? It goes the other way.
And they go the wrong way! Yeah, so what is that?
It does. It's always the trouble. I drive on the wrong side of the bloody road. What's up with that, I ask? You know?
I don't know. I just keep right, man. Just keep turning right.
Yeah, that's all you do. You come back where you start. I love it. It's good Aussie. That's like, what you call a boomerang that doesn't come back.
What's that?
A stick. Anyway, it's the problem we have with these things here. And moving right along, I'll bring a couple in with me and see if they do come around the right way, because we're on the down under, we're on the right side up here in Minnesota. And tonight I'm going to bring a big couple of jackets, maybe a couple of sheep. That might be the option here, fellas. And I'll tuck them under there. It's Paul Hogan told me one day, he says, always bring a spare sheep in your back pocket.
Well, yeah.
That'd be one good thing to have Johnny Parks come up. Be one good thing.
Well, sheep, more creatures to shave.
Well, yeah.
We can make some mittens out of this.
We need Johnny there. That way when King Leonidas defeats I guess it's a Sasquatch from Brazil, we need someone that is experienced at shearing, you see.
I think you two are being delusional now.
Well, we started throwing wrestlers in a blender, and then we want to see what happens.
It's all about the entertainment factor here, of course.
No, but in all seriousness, Cocky Tommy Two-Tone, the wrestler is very talented. He's no slouch. I know we're joking a little bit, but he is a very talented, has worked really hard to get where he is.
Yes, he has. He's been all over the world, all over the Midwest, in many kinds of matches. He's old school, very gentleman, straight out, and very honored to have him.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to meeting the man myself.
Making me blush here, I think, Tommy Two-Tone. Rocky, I'm getting a little sunstroke here all the way down to Aussie.
I just want to say, Wrestling Gone Wild, Saturday, February 2nd, 2019, at the Range Mental Health Governor Rudy Perpich Building. Doors open at 5:30, bell time 6:30. 7 great matches. There's going to be pro wrestling stars, people from TV, prizes for kids, raffles, and we're going to really, what we do, the anti-bullying, what leads to suicide, leads to depression. But be a buddy, not a bully.
Exactly.
That's what they should say. Be a buddy, not a bully.
Very important message. That is dead serious. We totally agree with that.
That's
no
right.
Jokes
Being
to
a
be
mate
made.
is great. That's right. Being a mate is great. That's right. No time for bullying down here and down under either. So we don't tolerate it down here. We're not going to tolerate it up there. I tell you what, being a mate is great. And I like what you got there, Tommy Two-Tone. There's going to be a lot of good people there and a lot of showing there. I'm appreciative of that. And I think you're doing a fantastic thing. So I've got to give you congratulations, my dear friend, for doing a great job and promoting such a great cause. And
Thank you, mate.
Everybody out there listening, please turn up there and support this great cause. Yeah, there's nothing like it. Bullying is not an acceptable thing, and we need to get to the root of it. As the First Lady that was on earlier, I heard, apparently was spreading the word about the greatness of this. Please, come and take your pledges, kids, and come and see me. I'll tell you how we do it Aussie style. I won't tell your parents how we do it Aussie style, but I'll show you how we do it Aussie style anyway. And guess what? We're going to have a whole heap of fun there, and I'll be really excited. And how many days away is it, Tommy Two-Tone?
Well, it's 8 days away.
There we go. 8 days away. That's all we got. Which is a week and how many days, Tommy Two-Tone? Talk to me, Tommy.
Right.
Besides being a Beatles song, it's a Beatles song.
There we go. Thank you very much.
1 week and 1 day. 1 day a week. WGW is going to be rocking Hibbing, Minnesota.
Michael, it has been a lot of fun having both you guys on the air, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. I'll be in attendance as well for all the listeners that want to come down meet me if you so choose to do. But really, it's all about the talent, the guys that are getting in the ring and giving this positive message out there to the kids about anti-bullying. I mean, really. Yeah, be a buddy, not a bully. And that's a great slogan because that's what we need in this world is more buddies and less bullies. So if you guys want to come on down, meet me, but more importantly, meet the King and Tommy Two-Tone. We'll throw that.
And meet the First Lady of Wrestling.
Yep, and meet the First Lady of Wrestling. So much fun to be had that you are going to have that smile surgically removed after the end of the night.
Meet other pro wrestling superstars.
It's gonna be quite the good time. Again, February 2nd. That'll be at Governor Rudy Perpich Building in Hibbing, Minnesota, for arrangement.
And at that, the address is 3203 3rd Avenue West. It's in the gym there in Hibbing. You can get your tickets at Mike's Heating and Sheet Metal in Hibbing on 1st Avenue. And we got special ticket prices just come in.
Very, very cool.
Isn't Hibbing the home of Bob Dylan?
It is. It is one and the same.
Yes, Bob Dylan, like a Rolling Stone.
Hey, you got to hold your nose for that, mate.
Like a Rolling Stone.
Blown in the wind. Blown in the wind.
He also sang nasally on the tracks.
Well, guys, but
will Bob be in attendance?
Yeah. No.
I'll make a couple of calls to see if we got a couple of minutes stroke. He might turn up yet. We never know. You never know who's going to be there. If Johnny
might as well invite him. Just invite him.
It's
wrestling gone
He's on my
wild.
speed dial.
It's wrestling gone wild, guys. You don't know what's going to happen. It's wrestling gone wild. We do good for people. You don't know who's going to be there. Elvis might show up. Bigfoot. You never know.
You just don't know. All I know for sure is I'll be there, and you'll be there.
You're going to see it for a good cause,
yeah.
Good matches, live pro wrestling, things for kids, great family entertainment, and it was a privilege that you guys brought Johnny Parks, the man down under, on. And the King is another thing. I know he's my champion, but I'm glad he's off the air now. But I don't really respect him.
Oh.
Crikey.
That was a low blow.
That was a challenge heard all the way in Greece.
That could well be. I think the King might meet that challenge there, lads. And there could be a bit of strife later on for old Two-Tone there if he doesn't zip the lip. That's what I'd be saying.
Uh-huh.
Crikey.
I don't know. They might beat you up so bad, Tommy, they might have to turn your name into Tommy Two Tears.
No. No, they don't get this guy. They have to wake up pretty early to catch me.
And Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan.
And Bob Dylan.
Blowing in the wind.
I don't know how Bob Dylan got thrown into the ring, but there he is.
He was born there.
Evidently, he's the new guest ring announcer, but
Evidently.
Thanks, Bob. Allegedly.
Now, coming to the ring.
In the west corner, we have...
Over there, hailing from... But again, that's February 2nd. Be a great time. And both you guys, I want to thank you both for coming on the air. It's been a real honor to talk to both of you. And Johnny Parks, good talking to you. I used to watch you all the time, so it was truly an honor talking with you. And King Leonidas.
The pleasure's all mine.
And the King Leonidas, he will, in my opinion, and I'm going to go on a limb here, I think he's going to retain the gold. But you just never know.
That's like blowing in the wind.
Well, yeah, he's got a tough competitor, though. It's gonna be a battle for the ages.
Everybody must get stoned.
Yeah, but just remember, Wrestling Gone Wild, February 2nd.
And you guys are available on Facebook. So if anyone's looking for it right now, there will be a website forthcoming, by the way, for WGW, and we're going to make sure that happens as well. We're going to work with our people to get that going. And then, of course, you're going to have there's a Facebook page for WGW, and if you want any more information, you can always go to the After Hours AM page that we have on Facebook. And, of course, there will be a write-up on America's Most Haunted webpage. So all that information will be there for everybody to check out, and make sure you get your tickets. But they also, if for some reason you do not get your tickets early, you need to hurry up, get there early to the arena to buy your tickets, because there is a cap, right, Tommy? We can only have so many people there.
There is a cap in the building, and it's going to be full. The tickets are first come, first serve, so we ain't really, and tickets are selling pretty good, and it's a cap. It's a elementary school gym, and they only can hold so many. We're going to stuff them in like sardines, though, mate.
We're going to need WD-40 and a shoehorn.
The fire department loves to hear that.
Yeah.
Stoned.
No, it's going to be a good time, though. That's all I'm saying. It's going to be a good time. Let's have a good time with it. We're Wrestling Gone Wild. We like to joke around. We goof around.
Should I do it for you guys? Should I do the Here we go. I used to do monster truck rallies. Once in a while, I'll do this on the air. Eric knows what I'm going to do. Saturday. Come on down to WGW Wrestling at the Governor Rudy Perpich Building, Hibbing, Minnesota. You're going to buy the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
Bravo, chap. Bravo.
Oh, yes, that's the old monster truck days.
You can sublet the rest of your seat.
You can to the small, small little people. The kids. They need
the wax Brazilians.
Well, why do we call them little people? Is my question.
I don't know. I don't know.
The most politically correct word is worse than the slang name for it. I kind of don't understand
that. I never got that one either.
Diminutive small individuals. That's all.
You know why?
Yes.
Because the little person bully said it was going to be that way.
I blame the Oompa Loompas. They were the
orange people.
They started. Remember, be a buddy, be a bully.
That's right. Well, we got to get out of here, guys. Again, I'd like to thank both Johnny Parks and Cocky Tommy Two-Tone for coming on the air for it again. It's February 2nd at the Governor Rudy Perpich Building. Get your tickets in advance at Mike's Heating and Sheet Metal. And this is an event you're not going to want to miss. If you've never been to a wrestling show, you've always wanted to go, this is your chance to go, and this is one of the best out there. So make sure you come on down. Come early, get your tickets. We got to get out of here, guys, but we'll see you after the break. We're going to be talking a little bit about books and a guy that wrote books with his deceased father. Be right back right after this.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the Wacky Waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the Wacky Waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me,
Eric Olson.
And first hour is quite raucous, wasn't it, Eric?
Oh, it was lively. That is for sure. And I think anyone who listened to even 5 minutes of that show knows exactly where that wrestling event is going to be.
Yes, Governor Rudy Perpich Building.
It is unambiguous, and Bob Dylan will be there too.
Evidently, I did not know that. I did not know old Bob was coming, but evidently he is. But we're shifting gears now. We have our second hour guest, which is just a fascinating guy anyway. But I'm going to step aside and let you do what you do best, man. Those intros.
Paranormally speaking, this is our real guest. All right. Yes, indeed. We have a fascinating guest with a really astonishing story to tell. His book is called Walking Through Walls. Walking Through Walls is Philip Smith's astonishing memoir of growing up in a household where seances, talking spirits, and exorcisms were daily occurrences, and psychic healings resulted in visitors suddenly discarding their crutches and wheelchairs and dancing a jig, or suddenly being cured of diseases. After a full day of creating beautiful interiors for the rich and famous, Lou Smith would come home, take off his tie, and get on down to the work of a psychic healer who miraculously cured perhaps thousands of people. For his son Philip, watching his father transform himself at a moment's notice from a gracious society decorator into a healer with supernatural powers was a bit like living with both Clark Kent and Superman. Regarding Lou's design work, Philip proudly writes, "When my father designed an interior, he often created everything from the furniture to the art. His furniture designs ranged from freeform modernism in a variety of innovative materials, including expanded mesh to period-inspired classics. Whether he was designing the Haitian presidential palace, good God, man, or a Palm Beach villa, Lou Smith's interiors were always considered ahead of their time. While there are benefits to having a miracle man in the house, Philip soon discovered the downside of living with a father who psychically knows everything his son is doing, surrounded by invisible spirits who tended to behave like nagging relatives. As a teenager, Philip looked for ways to escape his mystical home through sex, surfing, and Scientology. The 3 S's, my friends. Philip Smith is the former managing editor of GQ and an artist whose works are in the permanent collections of the Whitney, the Dallas Museum of Art, and the Detroit Institute of Arts, among many others. He lives in Miami. What an impressive, interesting, varied life and career. Welcome to the program, Philip Smith.
I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you, Phil, for coming on. Phil, it is quite the story and the tale, and there's so much to get into. I realized, kind of looking at everything that you're doing and how you grew up, and I don't know if an hour can hold you. So I'd like you to start by kind of telling us your early life, what it was like living in that household of your dad.
Your origin story.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, my father was always... he was a quirky guy, obviously, an interesting guy, and he was always interested in Eastern religions and different things that, pyramidology, all these things that are now common. But you have to go back in time. This is the early 50s. There was no Barnes & Noble bookstore with a metaphysical section. In fact, you couldn't buy books on flying saucers or pyramids or healing. They just didn't exist in this country. So he would have to write to old used bookstores in England and get these ratty old books shipped over. It would take 3-4 months. But he was always curious about these things. And, I thought I wanted to be a normal kid. And I thought, well, my father's a little bit of an oddball, but, it's apparent. But then in the early 60s, he started really changing his life. He got into macrobiotics. He got into yoga and meditation. And again, this is very common today, but I remember I think I was 7 or 8, and I went to school one day, and we were doing show and tell, and they asked me what my father does. I said, he does yoga, and the teacher in her Tennessee accent said, now what in the hell is yoga? So it was a really strange time, and he was a pioneer. And then he went to this lecture by a guy named Arthur Ford, and I'll do 2 seconds on Arthur. Arthur was a really interesting guy. He was a medium in the 1920s. He would hold seances at Carnegie Hall. He worked for Gloria Swanson and the King of Greece. And Houdini had died, and Houdini's widow had offered a reward for someone who could crack what was called the Houdini Code. Before he died, he said to his wife, look, I don't believe all this stuff in seances and talking spirits. They're all charlatans. But I'm going to devise a code with numbers, words, letters that is meaningless to anybody. But if you decode it properly, it means, I think, Bess, I love you. And so she offered, this is 1920-something, she offered $10,000 as a reward for anybody who could crack this code. And Arthur cracked the code. Now, people have come forward and said Arthur was a fake, et cetera, but supposedly he cracked the code. And later in life, in the early 60s, Arthur moved to Miami, and he would give lectures. And he was giving a lecture one day on reincarnation, and my father went to it, and he walked in, and a woman, it was packed, and a woman sort of waved him over, and he thought, oh, she has a seat for me. And she looked up at my father, and she said, I see your aura, and you're a healer. I have cancer. Can you put your hands on me and heal me? And my father, was, what are you talking about? And he put his hands on her shoulders, and they got really hot. They heated up, and then they cooled down. He took them away. She said, thank you, I'm cured. And then he started looking for a seat, and another woman waved him over, and she said, I have congestive heart failure. The doctors can't do anything for me. I see you're a healer. Please put your hands on my shoulders. So he did this again. Same thing, hands got hot, and she said, oh, I'm cured. And then he finally looked for a seat, and a third woman waved him over. Same thing happened, and that was the beginning of his knowing he was a healer and becoming a healer.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
He's out in public. He's at a show or at a lecture watching someone else, and these women, well, it sounds like at least one of them actually could see this in him, something he didn't even know about himself. I mean, was he able to confirm that these women were healed?
I don't know. I mean, these are stories that he's told me, and also stories. He recorded everything. So a lot of the book is taken from stories that he told or lectured and were recorded on audio tapes. And this basically is right from the tape, so I don't know whether he confirmed it. But when he did healings later on, he would have people write letters as to what happened and the results. So he left behind a fair amount of documentation about his healings.
Had he had a religious background prior to becoming what sounds like, he was a seeker, and he was looking for, something, obviously, in various spiritualities. Had he been religious prior to that?
That's an interesting question. Not really. When I was writing the book, I found a diary of his from, I think, 1919 or 1921. And in it, my father was recording his dreams. He would write down his dreams every morning when he got up. And they were far-out dreams, space aliens coming to talk to him, all sorts of things. Mm-hmm. But in one page, it said, I had a dream last night about a train wreck in the desert, and children were screaming, and I saw fire. And then you turn the page in the diary, and I guess my father is, he's about 18 years old, 19 years old at the time. You turn the page in the diary, and he says, I went downstairs, got the newspaper, and the front page story is about a train wreck in the Nevada desert, and 13 children were killed because the train exploded and there was a fire. So very early on, as a late teenager, he was having premonitions and sort of psychic dreams. So there was always something there in his life, but it wasn't really until his 60s that it began to really manifest.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So it came later in life. And what were you kind of skeptical though as a kid watching this? Were you like, Dad, come on, or were you a believer right away?
Both, and I think like any kid, your parents sort of annoy you, and you're skeptical. Like if they tell you, put a sweater on. No, Mom, I don't need a sweater. Mm-hmm. It's not that cold out. You're going to catch cold. No, I'm not. So it's part of being a child. So yeah, I was skeptical, but on the other hand, there was such a divide between the home life and my my school life, what was normal out there, I knew I couldn't really talk about what my father did because they'd probably just beat me up or they'd call the police. And so what happened at home stayed at home. And I would watch things, and my father, without pressuring me, he would engage me and encourage me to be part of it. He'd give me books or he'd give me lessons, or he'd say, there's a story in the book very early on. He had gone away to an ashram and studied with a yogi master. I think I was about 10 years old at the time. And, this sort of thing just didn't happen. And when he came home, he said, let's go in the backyard. I want to show you something. And he said, pick a cloud. And in Miami, there's huge white, fluffy cumulus clouds. They're beautiful, very puffy and cottony-like. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay, that cloud. He said, well, I'm going to put a hole right in the middle, like a donut hole. Show me where you want that hole. So I pointed, and, he put his hands to his temples, his fingers to his temples, and he started concentrating. And I was getting bored, sort of like nothing was happening. And it took about 5-6 minutes. And, as a kid, 5-6 minutes, you don't have patience. And I looked up, and very slowly that cloud was yawning and opening, and all of a sudden this gaping hole right where I pointed occurred. And so, you're 10 years old and you see stuff like this, and you have to say, gee, this is kind of cool. But you also know, as I said earlier, sorry?
I'd say I would say, especially if you have a need for holy clouds.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right.
But you can't go to school and talk about it because it's they would see, if I did talk about it, they would see my father as the devil or a communist or the Antichrist. He was seen as very, very dangerous back then.
Interesting. I mean, now today, we've come a long way in how open we are to things like that.
Yes.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. Back then, there was a bit of a fear going on with all that stuff.
And there were times he would get arrested for practicing medicine without a license, even though he never touched anybody, he never gave them anything. It was just all done psychically, but people would flip out over what he had done. And that he was able to not only heal, but he could diagnose accurately. And just to give you a context of the time, there were no MRIs back then, and there were no CAT scans. I mean, if doctors would look on an X-ray, and if they saw a shadow, they'd say, oh, well, maybe you have cancer, we'll have to do exploratory surgery, and they would open you up and just poke around to see if they could find a tumor. Yet my father he didn't even have to be in the same room with the person. He could diagnose where that tumor was, what kind of tumor it was, how many centimeters that tumor was. So it was, people just, they thought he was like an alien from Mars and a dangerous guy.
Yeah, and yet he's doing so much good.
Yes.
Really helping people, healing people, and you must have witnessed some strange things.
Yeah, we'd love to hear some tales.
Yeah.
Of what, I mean, that's the meat of it, of course, but I mean, we'd love to hear some of the things that
what
you
observed. Can tell us. Yeah, what you could tell us without going too far into the book, because we want people to buy Walking Through Walls. That's your book, your newest book, and it is a wonderful, wonderful read, and I recommend everyone pick it up. And it's quite the tale, let me tell you.
Thank you very much. And I'm very happy I wrote it as a kind of memorial to my father and a kind of celebration, because he did not have, it's easy for me to sit here and talk to you because this is what your show's about, and you guys are very focused on this kind of material. But back then it was a very difficult time for him. He did not have an easy time, so I wanted to basically, through the book, explain what those times were like and what he accomplished.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I mean, it's a little bit like, I don't even know, watching the TV show Bewitched or My Favorite Martian, which were the shows of the time, because I'd walk into the house and he'd be talking out loud, and I'd look around and I'd see that the phone receiver was on the hook. My mom was not home. No one was in the room, and he's talking. He's having this conversation with someone, and he was able to have these conversations with these spirit guides, and it was a bit like a correspondence school where they would come and they would teach him how to heal, or if a patient was coming to see him, and by the way, he never charged for healings. He felt it was a gift from God, and he did it all for free. If a patient was coming, then these spirit doctors would come and say what the diagnosis is, what the problem is, and what he should do to fix the problem. So I'm living in the house with a guy sort of talking to himself, but really talking to dead people. Mm-hmm. And the kind of worst part of it was, and you sort of said it in the introduction, is when the guy, Arthur Ford, the Houdini guy, died, my father and he became really, really close. And what Arthur would do is when he wanted to talk to my father, he would blink the lights 3 times, whether we were at home or even in a movie theater or driving on the highway. You'd suddenly see the lights sort of stutter 3 times. And he'd say, "Oh, Arthur's here. Let me take a message for him." And sometimes, actually often, Arthur would tell my father all the kind of bad things I was doing because I was not a really great kid. And I'll let your imagination roam over that, but you can make a big list, and I was doing them all. So, and I got caught every single time.
That would have been rough. That would have been hard to
yes.
have a father that's psychically gifted, and he was kind of like a human GPS tracker, could watch your every move and where you been. Man, it would have been awfully hard to put one over on old Dad.
Did you have siblings, or was all the attention on you?
Yeah, I was the lucky only child.
Oh, you poor man. You poor man.
Even better.
But talking about GPS, I'll tell you another story. I haven't told this in a really long time, but when I was, I think, 17, about to turn 18, I went with my girlfriend at the time. We went off to Europe, and I left an itinerary for my father. And back then, there were no cell phones. You didn't call home, and frankly, if you wanted to write your parents, you would drop it off at the American Express office in Paris or Rome, and then you'd wait 3 weeks for an answer back. So I left the itinerary, and it turns out we were going to go to Paris on our first stop. We flew to Luxembourg. And my girlfriend spoke Spanish, and she said, "You know what? Why don't we go to Spain first, since I speak Spanish, and let's get settled." So we went to Madrid, and we went to a little, cheap $3 a night hotel, and we had dinner, and I came home, and I was so sick. I had fever, I was delusional, I was hallucinating, and they went and they got a doctor, and the doctor said to my girlfriend, he says, "I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do." He says, "I don't know if he's going to make it to the morning." And so she was up all night crying and putting wet towels on my forehead. And then about 9 o'clock the next morning, all of a sudden everything lifted. The fever went, the sort of delusional thinking went, and I just got up and I said, "Hey, let's, what are we doing here? Let's go out." So we were gone for, I think, the whole summer. And when I got back, I called my father. I had just gotten home. I said, "Hi, Pop. I'm at the airport. I just want to let you know we landed." Mm-hmm. And he said to me, "I'm so sorry about what happened in Spain." I said, what are you talking about? Because we had been to Greece and Paris. We'd been all over the place. I'd totally forgotten about this incident. And he said, "I was tracking you every day." He would use a pendulum, and I was tracking you, but I was following your itinerary, and you were supposed to be in Paris, and the spirits came and told me you were sick, and I couldn't find you. So I had to get a map of Europe, and I spent hours dowsing the map to find out where you were. And when I finally found you, you were in Madrid. And he said, then I could lock into you and start sending you healing. And he said, "I'm sorry it took so long to get to you, but I didn't know where you were because you weren't where you were supposed to be." So that's the GPS that my father had.
That's amazing.
My Lord.
That is actually amazing.
comforting on the one hand, but creepy as hell.
I was gonna say, yeah.
On the other hand, that's wow. I mean, it really.
And as a kid, you just leave me alone.
Yeah, I want to be me.
I mean, yes, I could have died, and you saved me, and thank you for that. But I mean, come on, Dad.
Yeah, you got it. It's exactly that. And yet now you realize in retrospect how incredibly fortunate I was to have a father like that.
Oh, absolutely. What did your friends think of all this?
Most of them didn't know. As I said, I kept a big separation because I just knew this did not play well. I mean, don't forget, also in Miami in the 60s is still the Deep South. It's segregated. There's drinking fountains for whites and coloreds. So it's a very different time. And, having a spooky dad that came from Mars is not going to play well with
I was going to say, it didn't win your friends or influence a lot of people, I suppose.
No, it was not like, hey, you want to go over to my house and watch my father cure cancer? That could kind of be cool. Would you like to do that? No, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Was he older too? I mean,
he had me when he was about 50-something.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even that must have been kind of odd because he was kind of more like 2 generations older than you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was. I felt like I had a grandfather rather than a father.
Yeah.
And you look around and every kid had like a 35-year-old dad who was out throwing balls and stuff, and my father's 50-something. Well, by the time he's now 60-something. So it was everything about it was weird, but wonderful.
Yeah. I was going to say, it might have been strange, but looking back at it, you really have a real fond memory of your father.
Absolutely.
You have a lot of love for him. And writing this book, do you feel in a lot of ways that he assisted with writing this book?
Yeah, there's a lot he did to help. And the interesting thing is, when I finished it, it took several years because my father left behind about 5,000 pages, what he called spirit dictation, and he would get up every morning at 4:00 and with his pendulum, and he would sit down and he would start writing. He would take dictation from the spirits. And so, and as I said, he also tape recorded his healings and his lectures. So it took me years to sort of go through all this material because I wanted to be accurate, because I knew people wouldn't believe the book. So I wanted to make sure everything was verified. In fact, just before we went to publication, I went into the Simon & Schuster, to the publisher, and I brought a box of stuff, and I said, pick a page in the book, page 79, page 144, and I'll show you where that information came from. So I brought all the documentation with me. But so I'm packing up. I mean, my whole house became an archive of his paperwork and his tapes, and the book is now with the publisher. I'm packing it up, and all of a sudden I find this box of papers that I didn't see. I didn't know was there, and I thought, oh boy, this is going to have something I missed, and I'm not going to be able to put it in the book. So I start looking through these messages, and the last message was like 1971 in this box, and it says to my father, we need you to get all your papers in order and organize everything, because Philip is going to write a book on you about your work, and it needs to be organized for him. So this was like 30 years before I started writing the book.
Oh my goodness!
Oh wow!
Yeah, I was just entering college when this message came, and then the next day I find a box of cassette tapes that I also did not see, and I opened them, and they were blank. There was no label on them, and I thought, well, he just never used these. I'm going to throw them out, because he labeled everything, the date, and I thought, well, you know what? When I'm in the car, let me just listen to a couple, make sure they're blank. So, of course, the first one has a reading from an English psychic, and she said to him in the reading, she said, you have a son? And he said, yes. And she said, he's going to, and she basically said the same thing, you need to organize your papers because he's going to write, she says, kind of like a biography or she says kind of a documentary on your work. And she says, I see video attached to this. So twice the spirits were telling him that there's going to be this book written 30 years in the future after he's gone. So it's just kind of, it makes you wonder, like, I thought this was all my idea and I worked so hard, and I realized I was just kind of the secretary here.
You were the conduit, literally.
Yeah.
You were the conduit. We talk to authors all the time about, either nonfiction, more often nonfiction, of course, but also novelists who kind of work in, horror, supernatural, or paranormal. And many times we end up, we're kind of discussing the nuts and bolts, the process of writing. And almost every time they end up saying, hey, when it's flowing, when it's going well, it feels like it's not coming from you, that you're just a conduit. It's coming from outside of you, and you're just there to process it. So in your case, it was literal.
Yes. And, you think about all the inventions in the world, whether Thomas Edison and the light bulb or Tesla and all these things that people come up with, and you wonder where all this stuff comes from.
Yeah.
And I think that when you are in a creative process, whether you're inventing or writing or painting, there's some other energy field that you tap into, and that you have, and if you're willing to and open to it, that channels this information there that just, I don't know, I just don't think it can be from everyday experience or necessarily from our environment or even planet Earth. It just seems to come from some other sphere.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I think that technology, great to a great degree, great thinkers like Edison, where do they get that from? It has to come almost otherworldly. It really is a lot of influence there that makes me scratch my head. We got to run a break. When we come back, we're going to talk more with Bill Smith about his great book, Walking Through Walls. And let me tell you, it's going to get better and better as we go. A lot more ground to cover. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So Daddy's little girl thinks she's going to prom tonight with some punk who calls himself Snake.
Yeah, they grow up so fast.
Well, not if I can help it, they don't.
Okay, here's what you do. When that kid shows up, Dad's going to be doing a few chores around the house.
Huh?
It doesn't matter the chore. What's important is that it requires the use of a 60cc gas-powered chainsaw and possibly a mask.
I think it's showtime.
He's here. Dad, I want you to meet...
All right, let her rip.
What's that, honey? Hi, Snake. Great to meet you. But wait, where are you going?
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard. Try telling a bear that.
I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey? Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. Only you can prevent wildfires.
And welcome back to After Hours AM. I am your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olson.
And tonight we're talking with Philip Smith, and he wrote the great book about his dad, who was a psychic healer and just psychic all around, just amazing Superman type guy walking through walls. And what a journey. We've already talked about that. First half hour just flew right by. A lot of information there. And really, we are over the break. We're talking about each other's fathers. And, Eric, you said it best. I'm going to let you open that up because you were the one that brought it up, man.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering, how long ago Philip had lost his father. So why don't we start there?
Yeah, he passed away under mysterious circumstances in 1981. So it's a while. And as I was saying during the break, I always felt his presence. And a couple years ago, someone introduced me to an amazing medium called Patricia Michelle. And you call her up, or I would call her up, and she just links right into my father. And we have conversations like all of us are having right now. And they're very, very frank conversations. I mean, he tells me things about his life when he was here that I didn't know. But it reinforces the idea that the spirit lives on. And now when he needs to reach me, he'll tickle my ear. At first I thought, because I live in Miami, that it was a mosquito, and I kept brushing it away. And then I realized it's the middle of winter down here. We don't have mosquitoes. And all of a sudden it dawned on me, and you can see it on the website. The website's walkingthroughwallsthebook.com. And there's a little drawing that my father did of his face. And there's a nose, I guess, in the eyes. And there are these points on his face. They almost look like little measles spots. And next to it is the name of the person who would tickle that particular area, the edge of his nose or the corner of his eyelid, and who that was and what the signal was that they wanted to talk to my father. So I started getting these sort of tickling, buzzing things on my earlobe, and I kept thinking, as I said, mosquitoes, and I realized it's my father. So it made me stop and say, okay, what do you want to tell me right now? So it's enabled me to open that channel and communicate with him. And losing a parent is always, massively traumatic and life-changing. And I think it's just really important, and it's very difficult to know that, the spirit does live on. And one of the interesting messages that's in my father's papers is that he asked one of the spirit guides, what is it like? How can you communicate with me? How can you see what I'm doing? How do you know where I am?
Yeah.
And they explained to him that, like in those old detective movies where, the lieutenant would take the perpetrator into this room and there'd be a one-way mirror and they'd slap the guy around and they'd say, you did it, didn't you, you mug? And then the colonel was on the other side of the one-way mirror and watching all this. He said, that's how our existence, we're actually on the other side of this one-way mirror and we see everything, you just can't see us, and we're right there. And that's why sometimes people who are really sensitive and you can feel, there's someone watching you or there's someone in the room, or, you feel sometimes you get startled and you look up because you think someone's in the room with you. And that's actually spirits, keeping you company and checking in with you.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
I was just going to ask you, but you did it yourself without me asking you. What has he conveyed to you about the other side? For example, is reincarnation real? Is there evolution once he's on that other side? Is he always around, or does he just check in periodically? Those kinds of things. It's so mind-boggling and fascinating to think about. I'd love to, any insights that you've gleaned, we'd love to hear.
He's actually really busy, he says, and he's studying, and there are different planes. Just like, I guess there's levels, you go to first grade, or you go to middle school, or you go to university, and there are different levels in the spirit world, in the energy world, and you are there to learn and study. My mother, in talking to my mother, she would love to come back. But my father doesn't want to. He said, no, he says, I'm finished with my earth life. I've done enough there. I have too much to do here. And so I think that if, you think about it, when I was talking with this medium, and we were having these really very insightful, very realistic conversations, I said, I don't mean this in any disrespect, but, these are my parents. I should be able to talk to them directly. And she said, you're right. And the message of that is we can all communicate with our relatives and our loved ones who are not in the physical plane anymore. It just takes practice. I mean, it's like you want to learn to swim. You'll splash around, and one day you're finally doing freestyle or the breaststroke. It's a skill. It's a muscle that needs to be developed like any of our other muscles. But because it's invisible, it's very hard for us to maybe take it seriously or to be consistent with it. But it is something you can develop.
Do you have any psychic ability, do you believe, on your own? Are you in tune with the other side, do you think?
Yeah, it's my father in these communications says, I taught you everything. I sat down with you. He says, you have my DNA. You have all of this. But I think that I, very early on, made a decision when I would watch the harassment that he would get, either from the police or from people making fun of him. And I thought, that's not really something I want to get involved in. But, in certain instances, there was a guy here the other day with his family, and I guess he had back pain. He'd been on medication. He said, I hate to ask you this, but do you think maybe you could give me a little buzz or something? And I said, it's not, I just don't like doing this, but it was a very relaxed situation, and I worked on him, and then he wrote me back 2 days later. He says, I'm pain-free, and I have not been on any medication. So, yeah, I do it, not often, probably. My father would like me to do it all the time. It's the message that keeps coming through. Yeah. But I also have my own life. It's like, your parents run let's say they run a great agricultural farm, but you don't want to be a farmer. You want to go, be a doctor or something. And so, but your parents want you to take over the farm, and you want to be a doctor. So it's kind of that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I get you. I mean, just because he did it doesn't mean it's for you. I'm right there with you. It goes, my dad was a mechanic, and therefore I became a mechanic, but was never truly my calling, where radio was my calling. So, yeah, you got to find that own path. I'm right there with you.
Right, and I want to encourage the listeners to really try and find the confidence to know that the spirits are with you, and that your family is with you, and that you can reach out to them and you can communicate with them, and it may not happen right away because they're operating at such a different frequency than we are, and that's why when Arthur would communicate with my father, he would blink the lights, and he said in one of his messages, the easiest way for me to lower my vibration to communicate with you is through electrical systems. It takes more energy to, sometimes I find, I left my watch on the night table, and then I find it in the middle of the carpet, of the living room carpet the next morning. And I know someone was visiting me, or, when my mom passed away, I would smell her perfume in the room, or all of a sudden at 3 o'clock in the morning, all the lights went on in the apartment. And I know she thought it was really funny to wake me up this way. But they find their way to communicate with you, and it's something we can all do, and it's in us, and I hope everybody will try and pursue this and make an effort toward this.
How, though, do we start that road of communication? What's the best square one place to start?
Well, I think everybody finds their own way. I mean, it's like if people want to, lose weight or get fit. Some people join a gym, some do yoga, some go on a diet. So I think that there's a multitude of paths for everybody. And whether you start reading some books, there's a million books out there that, fortunately that can get you thinking on these things. Sure. But I think sitting quiet, even if it's 5-10 minutes a day, and asking and watch your thoughts, see what comes into you, and keep a pencil and paper handy in case you start getting these random thoughts, and write them down. And they may not make sense right away, and it may take a year, but you keep the notebook, and all of a sudden you go back and you say, oh, I see a pattern here. And I have a friend who's a contractor, and we talk about this all the time, and he's noticed that things he can't find suddenly appear. And I said, well, they're signaling you that they want to work with you. And, start talking to them and asking for help and be responsive. Don't just freak out, but that's how you start a relationship with someone.
Sure.
So you need to, you start a relationship with these energetic beings.
Okay.
Fascinating. I something occurred to me a couple times now as you've been talking. Do you see any relationship either in yourself or in your father? Do you see a connection between these abilities, psychic abilities, awareness, openness, and your creativity? I mean, here you are, both very, very successful creative artists. Your father a designer, you a painter, and I'm just wondering, is there a connection there, do you think?
That's a great question, and the answer is yes. And for my father, he, during the Depression, he sold magic tricks on the street to try and get some money to eat. So he was always interested in magic and the unseen. And for him, one of the highest, because he also painted, and I have some of his paintings, and he took photographs. But for him, the highest form of magic was being an artist, because artists, in his mind, I don't know that it's necessarily true today, but artists from nowhere, from something that you can't see, all of a sudden they would manifest something on a canvas, and just like an invention, where did it come from? Yeah. And it was a way of tuning into that energetic creativity. So yes, there is a connection, I think, between creativity and the possibility of psychic experiences, but also the connection between my father and myself, both being creative people, and also being interested in sort of the metaphysical ideas. And I think a lot of my art deals with metaphysics, because it's the world that I know, and to me it's a reality. I remember sitting at lunch with someone, and I was talking to them a little bit about the book and my father, and she said, "You really believe this?" I said, "No, I don't believe this at all. I know it's true. For me, this is reality." So I think, sometimes, when going back to the earlier question, we shift our focus into saying, well, maybe this could happen, or, maybe I'll hear from a spirit, or maybe I'll see a UFO, to really knowing that the world, you are surrounded by energies and energetic beings, and that the world is really alive. And you start with yourself, and one of the examples I use is, your iPhone eventually, no matter how many times you plug it in, that battery's going to run down.
Sure.
But you think about your heart. Your heart's been beating for 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 90 years, and you never changed the battery. Mm-hmm. And we go to the movies, and we put on goggles, and we go, wow, this is so great. I see in 3D. But we see in 3D all the time. As soon as we open our eyes, we're seeing
right.
3D.
That is true. That is true.
I think that the starting point for me is we are miraculous beings, and as opposed to, I had a hard day at work and the traffic and this guy cut me off. We're living in this kind of wonderful paradise. I mean, we have to make it that, and even if someone cuts you off, and even if there are some bills, the fact that plants grow and give us food, and we can eat a banana and we can eat a piece of toast, and that keeps our heart beating and our brain going, and you can explain it, well, it changes into glucose and carbohydrates. There's no machine in the world that can do what our body does, and the fact that we come out of just a drop of an egg and a drop of sperm, we are miracles. And I think if we start at that point, that we are miraculous beings, and we want to see the world through that lens, and we want to live that way, I think that's a great place to start.
What a great story. I mean, even just think of it from a purely objective statistical standpoint. Think about how the odds are of you being created. I mean, how many sperm are there, right? And, I mean, there's millions, and you're the one. You are the one who made it.
Only the strong survive, my friend.
Starting very small.
You take that thought and you say, okay, well, if look at the chances of me being creative, then you realize, you know what, I'm here for a reason. I have a purpose, and I need to find that purpose, because this is not an accident. I just didn't happen. I mean, my soul came into this body, and my body got born, and I have blue eyes or green eyes or brown eyes, and okay, so how do I use this time and this body for the highest good? And how do I bring happiness and enlightenment to myself and to people? I'm not saying go be a yogi, but miracles happen to people every day, and you can change people's lives through kindness and through just a little attention.
Sure, absolutely. But Bill, we got to ask you, what was the craziest, scariest thing you ever saw with your father's work? I mean, you had to have seen some really weird things, like exorcist type stuff.
Yeah, that's the one that came to mind. I was maybe I was 12 or 13, and he got a call from some woman that the daughter was acting strange and throwing things around and cursing, and he said, I want to take you somewhere, but don't tell Mom where we're going, because this didn't exactly sit well with Mom all the time. But we did go to this house in the rural section, and there was this girl, thrashing around on the floor, just saying the vilest things. And, my father talked a lot about possession, and that what happens is people who, let's say, are on drugs or dysfunctional or drunk or ill, their body becomes basically an open vessel for these negative spirits or entities to jump into and take possession of. Because these people, even though they're dead, let's say someone committed suicide or they were murdered, they didn't die in a natural way, so they haven't made the progression to move on to the next plane, and they're kind of stuck on the earth plane, and they don't know what to do. So they look around for these bodies to jump into, so they want to stay alive. And that's why sometimes you hear this stuff on the news all the time. I mean, the guy who just shot up this bank in Florida and killed 5 people, the cops were saying, well, we don't understand what happened. He was so polite and well-mannered. That you read that in the paper, and hey, what do you think happened? Something took him over, and because no rational person, you don't wake up in the morning and say, you know what, I'm going to go to the bank and put 5 people on the floor and shoot them in the back of the head. I mean, it just, something happens, and I think that there is a lot of negativity out there. I think that negativity is also expanded by negative music, negative movies, and all sorts of things, and people are so angry and hateful, and it just manifests all this dark energy. And I think all of us have a responsibility to try and not get sucked into that, and try and sort of keep our cool and be positive.
Well, it's hard, you know. I mean, it just seems like evil is just always there, right? And I was talking to a spiritual friend of mine. He was a shaman, and I asked him why that is, and he said that's because he's a Christian shaman, and he said it's like this: is when the war happened in heaven, God banished them down to here, the earth, gave them the earth. Well, that's why they're everywhere here, because they're with us, they're amongst us, and that's why they have such. That's why they're so easily. Why it's so easy to take us over, because they're always here and they're always able to work on us.
Right, and then it's like when you don't want to get a cold, you get your sleep and you eat well and you exercise and you don't strain yourself. And I think if you want to be spiritually healthy, the same thing is true.
Sure.
And we all have a responsibility to ourselves to keep ourselves, spiritually healthy, so that we're not invaded and we don't become one of the, pod people or zombies, because it's there.
Yeah.
And so it's listen, being alive is a lot of work, but it's also this incredible learning experience. And if you look back to who you are now and who you were 10 years ago or 15 years ago, I guarantee you're not the same person.
Yeah.
And we grow and we change, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah. Well, it's spiritual hygiene is what it is.
Exactly. That's a great term.
Just keep your spiritual hygiene and you'll be all right.
Yeah. And my father would raise his vibrations all the time, and I know when I walk into a place, I immediately feel that there's dark energy in that place, and I either leave or I surround myself with very positive energy, because I don't want that near me. And we all know we go into a meeting, or we're in a restaurant, or we're checking out at the supermarket, and we might get a headache, or we might get just like, oof, we know that person is emanating bad energy, and we need to be, and that's a way of also developing our abilities, that if you sense these things, okay, this person's really negative, I'm going to protect myself here, and I'm going to wish that person well.
I'm going to put on a spiritual condom.
Exactly. Yes. So I don't get pregnant with the devil.
That's true. You don't want to become Mia Farrow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing stuff to think about. And in a way, it's frightening on the one hand, but it's also empowering to know that we do have that power. We can do that. And we can protect ourselves. And we can reach out. And that we have powers that unseen entities don't have, because we are alive. We have to remember, we're the ones who are alive. We have the bodies. We have that level of energy. And we have heard that from other psychics as well. So much of what you've said and what your father professed and what you learned through him, we have heard. It's a pretty consistent story from a number of people who have access to the other side, and who we would deem to be legitimate. And you really hear a lot of the same things. And I find that very encouraging, or very comforting, to know that there's a thread that runs through, and ultimately it's very positive.
Yeah, and I think that the reason that you're hearing this now, and that you do the show that you do, is that we're at a point in human evolution and consciousness, and part of it's coming from technology, because a lot of our senses, they make digital cameras, which are our eyes, and wireless abilities, which is like our telepathy, and a lot of our abilities are now becoming manifested in technology. So it's our time now to know that we have a higher consciousness. And listen, it's just like you pick 10 kids for a football team. 2 of them are going to be bad apples. They're just going to be cut-ups and obnoxious and whatever. So life is not all goody-goody people. There is evil out there. There are dark energies, and it's you have to learn. Part of your training is to learn to deal with that.
Exactly. Well, we're almost out of time, Bill, and the book is Walking Through Walls. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold, you'll find this book. It's a heck of a read, and I recommend anyone that's interested. Well, it's a great tale, but it's also a great example of spiritual power and everything that your father represented and all the good that he did. It's a great memoir. So again, Walking Through Walls is the book. Pick it up, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, you name it, they got it. So till next time, everyone, take care of each other, love each other, and boy, oh boy, just keep up that spiritual hygiene. After Hours AM is a production of Midwest Radio Productions. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And please visit www.americas-most-haunted.com.